Morning, Trainiacs. Just finishing up a group Zwift ride that we're leading with Team Trainiac. And in the comments, because we're chatting away as these are happening, a lot of people are talking about how they got a new bike, got a new trainer, got their first tri bike, or thinking about upgrading from a road bike to a tri bike. And there are a lot of really good first time tri bikes out there for under $3,000, but there's a lot that you've really got to consider about getting the best bang for your buck and what can resell, because I guarantee you're going to want to resell that first tri bike at some point. So today we've got 5 tri bikes that if you're looking for your first tri bike in 2020 or 2021, these are going to be really, really good options for you. Everyone's talking about how they're ready for ice cream now. Good call. So, all right, Trainiacs. Let's say you are in the market for your very first triathlon bike. Maybe you're in your first season or your second season, but you're ready for a proper triathlon bike. Well, what we're going to give you here today is a small system, and it's a system that we kind of outline here in our book Triathlon Bike Foundations that you can get at triathlonbikefoundations.com or on all of the Amazons all around the world, about basically the types of triathlon bikes that you should get. And what I did was I actually went and used that system to look at all of the entry-level triathlon bikes available out there in the world and pick the 5 best triathlon bikes for people making that first purchase. Let's start off with the assumption that you're looking at the entry-level price point. So for that, we're saying $3,000 US and under. At that price point, the first tip that I would give you is to go for a used bike over a new bike, because those entry-level bikes are a dime a dozen. Everyone gets them and everyone eventually moves on from them. So what you end up having is this huge market with tons and tons of entry-level triathlon bikes. That makes the resale value lower. So if you can buy one of those used bikes, you're gonna get a much better bang for your buck. Second thing you wanna look for if you're buying new or used is the group set. You want Shimano Ultegra, Shimano Dura-Ace, SRAM Force, or SRAM Red. Those are going to be the group sets that are going to maintain their value because they're the more higher quality. And yes, Campagnolo, a lot of people might be saying, well, that's a really good quality set, but for somebody that's in that entry-level price point, you're going to want a group set that isn't so super specific as Campagnolo because parts are really hard to find. And frankly, you're probably not going to see the value in that Campagnolo group set, which a real high-end road cyclist would. Finally, as we outline in here, a tri bike is one of the down the list things that you should get. You really only need to buy a tri bike once you know that you are committed to doing triathlon for a few years. They can really only be used for triathlon, whereas a road bike can be used for training. You slap a pair of aero bars on it, you can use it for triathlon, you can use it for riding in group rides, you can do long endurance rides. It's just much more versatile, whereas a tri bike, really, really specific. And unless you know you're in the sport for a while, you're not gonna really see the enjoyment out of it. But let's assume that you are committed to the sport, and let's assume that you don't want to use tri bike that somebody else has been on. You want something that's brand spanking new and is your own. Here are some guidelines for that. First, you want to stick to the more common bike brands out there so it's easier to access parts, easier to find a service technician who knows how to work on it. What we've got outlined in this book here is the list of the top 10 most common bikes at the 2018 Ironman World Championship. And that's a really good starting point. Those bike brands are going to be easy to find parts for, and let's just face it, all these bikes are kind of hard to work on, so you need the support of a local bike shop person or somebody when you're traveling who knows how to work on it quite easily. The second guideline that we use to create this list of 5 bikes to purchase is that it has to be easily available. You have to be able to buy it without tons and tons of searching and have like a one-off thing that maybe one of you can buy. It's got to be easily available, and it has to be not on sale. And then very importantly, one thing that I need to get across is with your first tri bike, you have to go into it thinking that you want to be able to resell it and not take a massive loss. Because anyone can just go and buy a tri bike. They're in every bike shop that supplies tri bikes, but you are going to want to upgrade from that first tri bike within probably 2 to 4 years. I can guarantee it. If you stay in the sport, it's just what happens. So I want to make sure that whatever you buy and what I've recommended here is going to hold its value. So let's get into the list. First on the list is the Cervelo P2. For a lot of people, this was the go-to entry-level tri bike. I've actually used this tri bike to qualify for a half Ironman World Championships. This bike is coming in at $2,800 to $2,900 US, but the thing about it is that it has Shimano 105 group set. Now that Shimano 105 group set of the Shimano lineup for road and tri bikes goes Shimano 105, slightly better is Shimano Ultegra, even better Shimano Dura Ace. Those entry-level group sets, they tend to lose their value a little bit. So while this is a decent bike at $2,800 to $2,900, it is going to lose its value a little bit quicker than some of the other options on this list. But add on a pair of race wheels and basically you're gonna get yourself the bike that I qualified on. So yeah, it's a great bike, a great option, very aerodynamic, handles really well at a great price. Next is the Ventum Z. Now the Ventum Z is actually what I have on my trainer back there. Doesn't have a down tube, so you're not gonna get as much rattling up in the front. Your shoulders are going to be a lot more well rested after the end of the bike. And this is coming in at $2,699, but again with Shimano 105 group set on it. So a little bit less costly than the Cervelo, a little bit nicer ride up front, but I think that if you're going for a really good value that's going to end up holding its value and something that right off the shelf shows up at your doorstep done and you can race on it, is actually the Shimano 105 build with deep NV wheels, aerodynamic wheels coming in at $3,499. This is a really good build, but again, just has those entry-level Shimano 105 parts. Third on the list and winning the absolute price war is the Felt B. The Felt B is a triathlon bike. It's coming in at $2,299, and it even does that with some Ultegra components, a step up. So what you're getting is a triathlon bike that is cheaper than the first two options that we mentioned, while giving you a little bit better component build. It's going to hold its value better, but the one thing that you're gonna have an issue with this bike is reselling it, because the design of this bike isn't keeping up with the current new design of the Felt triathlon bike. It's not as aerodynamic. The tubes aren't as deep. So people are gonna look at it and they're gonna think, well, this is a bit of an old bike. If you're just looking for a really good bang for your buck, you wanna add some race wheels onto it and still not break the bank, this is a very good option, but expect that you might have a bit of a harder time selling it. I think perhaps kind of I don't know if it's a better option or not, is actually the entry-level Felt IA with a Shimano 105 build. The reason that I'm not sure if it's a much better bang for your buck is because it just has that entry-level Shimano 105 group set, and it is getting up to the pricier $3,299, and then you still have to put race wheels on top of that, so I don't think that that's a super great value. Now the final two bikes I think are tremendous values. When I actually found these, I'm like, wow, this is really cornering the market for entry-level triathlon bikes. And the first one is the Canyon Speedmax CF 7.0. This bike is coming in at $2,999, but at that price point, under $3,000, it already has your deep Reynolds wheels that you can go and race on. It has a Shimano 105 group set, so I actually think a slightly better purchase would be the upgraded model, and that being the $3,499 Shimano Ultegra, full Shimano Ultegra, right from tip to tail with those same deep section Reynolds wheels. And at this price point, you're getting really good group set, you're getting really good wheels, you're getting a really aerodynamic bike, all of the things integrated with storage. Basically, you can race on this bike for years, resell it, and it's still gonna look like a very high-end triathlon bike, so the resale value is going to be quite high. Last on the list, which I would say is equally good, but not as like tip to tail, done up well, but I think it's probably the strongest option because of the value that you're getting at the price point, is the Argon 18 E117 triathlon bike. It has a lot of Ultegra parts in it, but the main thing that I like is that it is their up-to-date frame, looks very high-end, and the price point is $2,500. I think what you're getting is a really good bang for your buck because Argon is a Canadian company and the US Canadian dollar with our monopoly money up here, I think allows that bike to be less expensive. So you're gonna get a $2,500 bike that looks really nice and high-end and sharp, a lot of Ultegra parts, so it's gonna hold its value, and you've still got a fair amount of room in the budget to add on some deep race wheels. So these 5 bike brands that I outlined for you, I think are the best bikes out there for the beginner triathlete looking for that $3,000 bike. Now, if you have a $3,000 bike and you've just been watching this out of sheer curiosity, go check out triathlonbikefoundations.com. This is like our highest rated book out there between swim, bike, and run foundations. I want to say it's got like 55-star reviews and it's only been out for a few months. Yeah, it's great. So that is it, Trainiacs. If you don't want to buy a bike, if you don't want to buy a book, if you don't want to do anything like that, hit the subscribe button below if you aren't already. And if you are, I got nothing else for you. That's enough calls to action for today. Later, Trainiacs.